All right, so we're in episode 5 of The Penguin, and these past couple episodes, I know it's called The Penguin, but it's basically Sophia's show. Um, Oz is just a hot mess right now. So it's picks up after Oz and Victor decide to abandon his Maserati and literally blow it up. And Victor's so sweet. He's like, I'm sorry I destroyed your chariot. And he's like, those can be replaced. What we have can't be. So, which was sweet. Oz has these moments of being super sweet and then other moments of severe narcissism. It's just unreal. But he called a bunch of guys. Apparently he has the same plan as Sophia does. So he gets a bunch of people who were working for the Falcons, working for him in his drops operation, and weren't given the recognition they deserve. So he's using them to try to help him take over the city. And he goes to see Sal Maroni, and first he kidnaps his kid. And as Nadia rightfully points out, there is a code. You do not kidnap the other gang members' children. You want to go after the gang members? Fine. Children are off limits. Apparently, going after your own children is different, though, apparently. At least to Carmine. But, they make now, it was, when they made this arrangement that Nadia was going to give them the mushrooms and she would get her son back, that Oz gave one of the guards his knife so he could off Sal. Now, honestly, I was waiting for when he was going to attempt something against Sal, but I guess he wanted to wait till he also had Nadia, because she now has to give him the mushrooms that they were using for the bliss. And I'm not sure if they did this on purpose or if they're just incompetent. But most of the mushrooms were unusable. They were dried out. So Nadia basically pulls a fast one and is when Taj is released, her henchmen start opening fire on Oz. And Oz just calmly, because he's doused in gasoline, he just calmly sets him ablaze. And Nadia too, because she's hanging on to Taj. Which, my question is, why was she holding on to him? I mean, I get it that this is her child. You know, she wants to protect him. But he's on freaking fire. You're not going to save him by holding on to him. I mean, what, did she think she could dry him off or something? I honestly do not understand. I realize they wanted to show that Oz was trying to get rid of the Maronis, or at least the top brass of the Maronis, but still, I would think that there's a lot of great things that she could have done, like, oh, I don't know, um, find a bucket of water or something. I mean, there are things that she could have at least attempted to do, like yell for someone to get a bucket of water, or for her to run to get a bucket of water, or for her um to run and tackle Oz, because Oz possibly had a gun, but do something, not instead of just letting yourself get burned alive along with your kid. Or maybe she figured, that she'd rather be dead than be without her son. That's a possibility too, but that was just freaking weird. So, and Oz is just watching, dispassioned. Okay, fine. Now, he is, like I said, he discovers that most of the mushrooms are unusable because they're not moist. They're dried. So again, I don't know if the Maronis sabotaged it or if they're incompetent. Because, I mean, the drops operation was theirs. So I would like to think that they know better. So it's probably, well, if we can't have it, neither can you type situation. And so Oz calls Victor after Sal calls him to let him know that, oh, by the way, Mikey's dead. I assume that's the security guard that he gave the knife to. Because we saw him stab him, but we didn't see the aftermath. And obviously, Sal got the upper hand on him. I don't know if he got help or if he's just that much of a badass himself, knowing that Clancy Brown generally, the type he plays are badasses. I'm gonna go with he just overtook the guard despite being stabbed in the stomach. And basically he threatens Oz. So Oz calls Victor, who was taking care of his mother, because he saw that Sophia, that there was a gas leak that killed the Falcones. And he knew immediately it was Sophia, and Victor was pointing that out, and he's like, oh, she just took the bait, I led her to that. Which is why I think he's narcissistic, because, dude, I don't think you had anything to do with that. Sophia hated her family for what they did to her. You had absolutely nothing to do with it. You did not suggest to her, oh yeah, why don't you kill your family? No, I'm sure she wanted to kill them anyway because of how they treated her. Now, I'm still a little uncertain about her killing Gia's mom, Carla Vitti, simply because, on the one hand, it sounded like they just signed affidavits without knowing. On the other hand, Carla seemed genuinely afraid of Sophia. So it's one of those things that she probably didn't know what she was signing, but at the same time, she was afraid enough that she believed Carmine when he said about what she's done. I don't know. But either way, she was afraid of her. But I don't know if it's because she actually believed that she did what she was accused of, or because she knew that she signed a bogus affidavit and that Sophia would be pissed. Either way, I'm not sure that she deserved to die like, say, Luca. But at the same time, uh, I don't, I'm not completely sure she was a good person either. But anyway, um, so Sophia tries to get Johnny to, and Gia is sent to a children's home. I honestly thought that she would be one of those, oh, let's raise Gia, as my own kid, let's raise her. But no, she probably realized that this is no place for a kid, so she'd be better off in a children's home rather than for Sophia to raise her. And it's possible Sophia wasn't interested in raising a kid regardless. So she has Johnny tied up somewhere. Now, my question is, how did she manage that? Because at this point, she seems like she's on her own, and she did put a gun to him while he was in bed. So she did have the upper hand there at the end of last episode. But still, it's her and Johnny. Yes, she has a gun, but at the same time, he's a hell of a lot bigger than her. So, but anyway. So she's torturing him. Now, people say that Sophia is completely crazy, which she does a bunch of crazy shit. But how much of that was because of what happened to her at Arkham? She didn't seem like she was this crazy before Arkham. So basically, all the Falcones have Carmine to blame and themselves for going along with it for the way she's acting now. But on the other hand, yeah, did some of them deserve it? Probably. So Johnny, whether he truly felt remorse or was just trying to plead for his life, was telling Sophia about how the day she died, her mother was trying to leave Carmine again. So it's not that Isabel figured out that. Is it Isabel or Isabella? I can't remember. It's not that she figured out what he's doing and got a conscience or whatever. He just didn't want her to leave, and even worse, take the kids. So he killed her. And it sounded like that maybe Johnny might be, he also bargained for his life that, oh, you don't just need the money, you need influence, and I can give you influence. And now, whether he was just bargaining for his life or whether he truly regretted being a part of this family and, being part of the family that got her mother killed because she wanted to leave. She wanted out. So, but then later, we got our answers, sort of. So, so they see this on TV about the gas leak. And thankfully, corrupt cops are everywhere, so Sophia is able to deal with the chief of police questioning her about where Johnny Vitti is and basically implying that she's the one who orchestrated the gas leak, which, hell yeah, she was. So, they see this, and like I said, Oz takes credit for it, and either Victor is just that naive and that gullible to believe him, or when he went to take care of Oz's mom, who he was doing such a good job with that, by the way. He is a sweet kid. He basically lied. Like I said, I don't know if it's because he believed what Oz told him or because he just wanted to make this severely dementia patient happy. But he said that Oz was the one who killed the Falcones. And so that made her super happy. But they had to leave because the Maronis, well, Sal Maroni was not too thrilled about Oz trying to off him, which, duh. And that was before Oz threw it in his face and said, "Oh, by the way, I killed your wife and kid." You know, because let's just get a attack dog that's already angry with you, seriously pissed. That's a great plan by Oz. So, he tells Victor to get his mother to someplace safe. Now, I thought he was going to take her out of the city, or maybe to a hospital that isn't Arkham, but something to not Crown Point. And now Victor previously was on Death Watch, basically because of his resemblance to Jason Todd. He's on Death Watch already. After this episode, both he and Oz's mother are on serious Death Watch. Because Oz is worried that Sal is going to get to his mother, which can't blame him there. And so he takes him to Calvin's apartment. And then he sees Squid and he's like, "Oh shit." And and Oz's mother, who isn't completely understanding what's happening. I mean, she understands a bit of what's happening, but it's still, she acts more like it's a bit of a game to her because she's demented. So he's trying to avoid Squid, and he tries to get her up the steps through the threshold to Calvin's apartment, and Squid notices them. Now, he just notices the profile and he's just watching. So he didn't say anything to imply that he recognized Victor. But considering how long he watched, either he recognized him or he just was admiring someone trying to help this old lady over the threshold. Not sure. I'd love to think it was that latter, but I think he recognized Victor. And this is going to bite both Victor and Oz, and possibly Oz's mom, in the butt. Because Squid, I think, is going to squeal. He's going to either tell Sophia or Sal or both of them or somebody in their families. But he is going to tell one of them. Now, whether he's going to suffer Calvin's fate of being immediately killed by Sophia, I don't know, or possibly Sal, but he's going to tell them, and they're going to come to visit Oz. Now, that's why I think that even his mother's on death watch, because they're not always going to be there with her. And, well, she's demented, so yeah. I don't have high hopes for her making it through this season. I'm still not convinced Victor is. I'm feeling a bit less queasy about him not making it, but the mother is definitely not making it through the season. So we find out that when Victor first walks in, after he finally finds Frances, she is looking through her kids' old stuff, and she has this baseball mitt. And first she thinks Victor is what we assumed at first was Oz. But he's like, no, I'm Victor, and she's upset that Oz sent a total stranger to check on her. And but you know, Victor was really gentle and sweet with her. And we find out that was not Oz's glove, but Jack's. That Jack was the athlete, and that the city took him. That's all he told Victor, is that the city took him. So I don't know if they were part of gangs and they were part of a gang war, because I doubt it was a natural disaster like what happened. Well, an unnatural disaster that happened with like what happened with Victor's parents, where Crown Point was flooded. So, but before this, Oz speaks with Eve, and Eve is like completely done with him. She's like, you know, I care about you, but I do not want to be in the firing line of Sal and Sophia. I just don't want to be a part of that. I'm not going with you. And she's doing that for herself and for her girls. She wants to protect them. She figures probably that Oz is either going to get himself killed or he's going to do just fine. But she didn't want to be a part of it. Now, he gets very irate, assuming that she's cheating on him, assuming that all this stuff about her. And my question is, wait a bit, wasn't part of your speech to Victor that he's throwing away his everything he's could possibly work for to become someone for a piece of ass? Aren't you basically, I wouldn't say you're doing the same thing, but if you're basically telling Victor to not care about girls that much, or at least, you know, care about your business more, then why is he so upset? If she doesn't want to be a part of his world, well, she's just a piece of ass, right? Anyway, so that's his narcissism right there. Because, you know, somehow his piece of ass is different than the one Victor had or something. Either that or just simply he just can't fathom that Eve wouldn't just do whatever he asks. One of the two. But anyway, so he goes to the house, goes to the apartment, and he has a flashlight. Victor must have told him that there's no electricity, or he just didn't want to disturb anybody. And he has this flashlight, and he starts going through that box that his mother was going through earlier. And that's what woke up Victor, and he was so apologetic. And Oz is like, you're doing a good job. Which I thought was sweet. And While this is happening, Sophia and her psychiatrist, Dr. Rush, she's going through her closet. Julian says, "Oh, don't, the cops came to me and asked me about you because of what happened with the gas leak, but don't worry, I didn't say anything, even though I know it was you." He is so hung up on her that he is turning gangster. And what's sad is that she doesn't feel the same way. She's just using him. It is obvious. Because she even said that it's far past time for analysis. So you can hear the heartache in his voice when he realizes that she's not actually interested in him. That after all of this, she still just sees him as a psychiatrist and not as a love interest. But she understands that he is attracted to her and she's using that. So he wants to be a part of her world. And so Johnny puts together a group of people, basically henchmen for the Falcones. People who didn't, in Sophia's words, didn't get the recognition they deserved and weren't given the money they were owed. So she has Johnny do this, and at first I really thought that maybe she was going to keep Johnny around longer. But after she gave her speech and Johnny tried to smooth things over, I don't know why he did. I mean, she's basically offering these people a chance to be somebody in the family and not just grunts who don't get any recognition and certainly don't get paid the money that they're due. So, now granted, death is not funny, but if looking back, how this happened was quite amusing. Now let's not do anything rash, and boom, she does something rash. Now, whether they are on her side because they liked her speech or they're freaked out over what just happened to Johnny, I do not know. It could be a combination of the two. But she let them do a free-for-all with the money that she put on the table. And she's just looking at Julian. She's looking at Dr. Rush, and as if he's going to be by her side through all of this. So I'm worried about him. He's also on my death watch. I mean, maybe he will make it through, but considering Sophia wants to have a truce with the Maronis, I wonder. So Sophia goes with one of her henchmen to speak with Sal. And she basically offers him, let's both go after Oz. He screwed us both over. So why don't we make sure he doesn't get what that he gets what he deserves, which is, in this case, death. So, again, Mom is on death watch because Squid is going to tell one or the other that where they can find Oz. And, like I said, Oz and Victor aren't always going to be with Mom. So it sounds like Sal is going to take Sophia up on her offer, which she's like, you know what, we both got screwed over by Oz, and I started a new crime family because the previous one sucked balls because they were sexist as fuck. So why don't you join me? And then she realized she still has a gun pointed at Sal. It's like, oh, let's put that away. let's put that down and continue talking. So yeah, I'm really loving Sophia, even though she's a bit crazy. Now, I really wonder if before she went to Arkham, if she would have taken over. Maybe not exactly like she did, but that she would have. I mean, her main mistake was tipping off her father to the fact that she knows he killed her mother. Which, it's great that she figured that out, but why did you tell him? You could have saved yourself a lot of hurt if you just told pretty much anybody but your father. I mean, granted, she couldn't go to the police because if she did, well, half of them are under his payroll, so that wouldn't have worked. But yeah, go to the journalist. Tell her what you know. And not worry about it. And, possibly play both sides. Oh, by the way, a journalist came up to me and told me this, this, and this. So I'm letting you know that to keep your eye out for this. Yes, it's throwing the journalist under the bus, but it's keeping you safe. And you could have managed to crawl your way up anyway, because, Oz killed Carmine. But no. So I don't know if she would have managed to get this far if she hadn't been sent to Arkham. And the fact that Oz killed her brother, she's got a lot of people on her hate list. But the Maronis aren't one of them. And she even said in her speech that she wants to end this gang war. She told it to Sal that the only person this is benefiting is Oz. How he became such a bigwig in Gotham, I do not know, because he's always, there's always a fire under his butt. He's always hanging by the seat of his pants, trying to figure out how to get out of the latest mess they found himself in. Self-inflicted, usually. So, while this is happening, Oz takes Victor to the trolley station, which is still dripping with water, because this is still shortly after the Riddler flooded everything. And, he mentions how moist it is here, and he picks out a trolley car, and Victor figures out that this is where their mushroom operation is going to be, because that's a good place for mushrooms to thrive. So, like I said, while they're doing that, Mom is left unattended, she's demented, and Squid knows where they are. So yeah, Mom is on serious death watch. Let's see. So that's basically how it ended, with that this is where their operation is going to be. But now he has Sal and Sophia, who's after him. Squid hates Victor, which might have something, I don't know if it's because of Sophia killing Calvin, or he thinks that Victor killed Calvin, or why he hates Victor so much. It was implied before the flooding that Victor and Calvin's cousin, Grisella, I think it was, didn't like Squid. Didn't like that Calvin was running around with them. So it could be just bad blood based on that he did not like Squid from the very beginning. But regardless, that's gonna bite them in the butt. I mean, Victor had a very good idea until he saw Squid. He should have just said, maybe I should find someplace else. But he tried to, hopefully avoid Squid's gaze. Which, because Mom took so long to get over the threshold, Squid saw Victor. So yeah, Mom's on death watch, possibly Victor. I do know that some people are suggesting he might become Victor Zsasz. And I seriously hope not. But let's face it, Victor is far too sane for this show. So, I mean, Oz, he has a mother who basically wants him to be a bigwig crime boss because I guess that's the only way to make a name for yourself in Gotham. So he's not mentally stable. Eve seems fairly stable, even though she goes along with a lot of what Oz does. So that leaves Victor as sane. So, and we can't have sane people. So maybe Mom will survive and Victor will get off. But yeah, you can't be on this show and terribly sane. And Victor Zsasz is anything but sane. So I'm hoping that that does not happen to Victor, because even though he's helping Oz and he's doing a good job of it, I would rather have someone remain sane. Let's see. And at the very end of the episode, there was a little blurb about how to get mental health help, specifically for dementia. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say about this episode. I don't know how many episodes are in this season. So I don't know if we're at the halfway mark or more than halfway. I honestly don't know how many episodes they're airing. And it says, even though I'm doing season 1, it says miniseries. So I don't know if that means truly that there won't be a season 2, or maybe they'll see that it's a good series, so either they'll continue or follow another one of the characters from this show. I don't know. But I believe I've covered everything I wanted to in this episode. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.